So the situation at Warner Brothers and studios closing down, specifically Monolith, has a lot of people very sad. There's a lot of games that are going to be going away that we won't be seeing again. If you think about like the Fear series, which is extremely sad to see. But one of the things that Monolith had, which they created themselves, which kind of was revolutionary in gaming when it did drop, was the Nemesis system. Well, you would think maybe this would be able to be used in other places, or maybe somebody be able to go in there, take it and buy it, and then use it on other games at different studios. And it looks like more and more this is basically locked away, and it is going to be gone from gaming for a very, very long time, as we do see this now that Warner Brothers has patented the Nemesis system until 2036, despite the studio being shut down. So it gets worse. I mean, this is a terrible situation. WB really messed this stuff up with obviously all the missteps to get to this situation. But we have this here. It says, last night, Warner Brothers shocked the industry when it was announced the closure of 3 studios, which included Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor's Monolith Productions, which was founded in 1990. And Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War both had the patented Nemesis system. If you ever played the games, it's a phenomenal system. The ranks of the orcs and everything as you're going through and you're taking out different leaders, and then the new one comes on top. They end up kind of starting to turn on each other at times. It is very, very cool. Every time you encounter a new one, there's like a new personality. So it's an awesome system. It made that game revolutionary at that time. It really did. It was something everybody was talking about. It was phenomenal. And the system itself, you would think, could be used. It could be something that could be used in other games, even if this studio is gone away. Well, the patent itself, which you can view, was originally filed back in 2016 before it was granted in 2021. It is dubbed Nemesis characters, Nemesis forts, social vendettas, and followers in computer games. And as it stands right now, the patent has an expiration date of the 11th of August, 2036. So even though Monolith is getting shut down, Warner Brothers will be able to retain the patent for the Nemesis system for another 11 years. So should they keep the patent and its associated fees, then they will have all of the access to it. Many people are upset about this. A lot of people have been very outspoken. They say they really patented the Nemesis system and only do absolutely nothing with it. Rest in peace to the Nemesis system, I guess. This comes from a bunch of journalists. This person says, Monolith literally created a one-of-a-kind system that procedurally generated a complete hierarchy of unique enemies that interacted with the player and itself in the Nemesis system. WB took that from them, patented it, and then closed the studio, F them. And that is like the craziest thing of it all when you do sit back and think about it, is because this is a legendary studio going back to the 90s. They actually came up with this system that a lot of gamers looked at and loved. And then WB took that intellectual property basically from the studio itself, patented it, and now they own it and they have it under locks until 2036, and they go down and shut the studio off. Now, will they never use it again? We don't know. They could take it and then give it to another studio and tell them they have to put it into this next game. But it just doesn't seem like that is going to be the case going forward whatsoever, especially when you look at what's happening in this gaming industry right now. I don't think we're in a crash. Some people out there continuously say we're in a crash and the gaming industry is going to be changed forever. It's going down, all of the stuff, which I just disagree with, because if you look at the numbers of spending, revenues, all of that stuff, the gaming industry is still extremely healthy. In fact, it is growing in different parts of it. But the reality is the gaming industry overextended itself. It grew too much, too fast, especially over the years of the pandemic where people were locked away in their homes and they had nothing else to do. All of these executives got extremely greedy and they wanted to take advantage of that. And now everything is kind of shrinking back down to normal. But the other side of it is that people just continuously play the same games over and over again. We saw Matt Piscatello, what he was talking about when he had his numbers of the top games played in the US. And it's the same games that are always played, the same games as a service, multiplayer games that are always in the top 10. And that's been like this for a long time, and it's not going anywhere. So it's harder for competition to break in when you make a game and you want to get people's attention away from the current multiplayer games that they are playing. the risk is far higher than if you're already one of those established games, or you can just continuously add content to it. It's why we see so many games as a service and multiplayer games fails. It's in my mind now, probably what PlayStation was looking at after starting all of those games as a service games. They wanted to be one of those tentpole games in the top every single month, but then they saw the reality of it and just how difficult it is to actually do that, and they canceled most of them. So there's a lot happening here, a lot of bad stuff happening in terms of things going away, games we will never get to play again, systems that are going to be locked away behind a patent from WB. But unfortunately, this is the way that things are going. And then the other thing I was seeing online when it comes to this whole thing is you started seeing people out there wish that Xbox had bought Warner Brothers, which is a very interesting thing here, because when Xbox bought Bethesda, less so Bethesda, but then when they bought Activision, you saw a lot of people outraged. Like, consolidation in the industry, this is going to be very bad. Everything is going to give us crappy games, or every studio they own is going to be bad. All of these types of things people were throwing out there. That's obviously not what has been happening so far since they've owned Activision and Bethesda. But the reality is, now we are seeing this stuff happen, and now people are actually flipping and begging Xbox to go out there and buy these studios so they don't go away. It's a kind of a double-edged sword when you do think about it, because consolidation overall, if it gets really consolidated, isn't going to end up being better for gamers. I think that will end up being worse. But if you're to ask me, would you rather Monolith stay alive if Xbox were to have purchased them, or just leave them to themselves? And this happened, I think most people would have rathered Monolith stay alive and be purchased by Xbox. But I'll end the video there, guys. Just some thoughts on this entire situation, because it's been absolutely crazy. It's sad to see what has happened here to Monolith. It's sad to see what's happened here to the Nemesis system. Hopefully it isn't the end of it, but we won't know for at least a while until they decide to use it, or until after the patent expires. But on the video here, thank you for watching, thank you for your support, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.
Bye.